Right, hey guys, how are we doing? Back another video from Annie News. We're continuing, still going on with cut content from Overlord Season 4. Love it. And we are checking out Philip's Legends. So the title implies that Philip somehow beat Ainz in something. I don't think it's going to be a big thing, but very, very intrigued. So let's check it out, shall we?
Philip is by far one of the most impactful characters in Overlord.
Right.
Not only was he the single
Didn't see me in the anime though.
Destroying the entire kingdom, but he was also the only person to claim victory against the Sorcerer Kingdom.
How?
A spectacular accomplishment we unfortunately never got to see in the anime.
Okay, cool.
So, if you're wondering what exactly it is Philip did to beat Nazarick, well, here's an entire video dedicated to how it happened.
No way.
In order to fully understand the true magnitude of Philip's genius, we first need to understand the perspective under which he was operating.
Because he seemed like an
I did
idiot.
back during the cut content from episode 8, but the general idea was pretty much this. Ainz's stockpile of goods that brought the kingdom was actively preventing Philip from selling his own at a profit. So long as the Sorcerer Kingdom continued to maintain such a massive supply of provisions, they would always be able to determine the price at which those provisions could sell for, thus preventing the local nobles from selling their own at the price that they wanted to. That being the case, the only way Philip could come up with to overcome this problem was by simply doing something that would diminish the Sorcerer Kingdom's supply.
Right.
If they could just lower their yield by, say, stealing supplies from one of their convoys, then not only would he be doing his nation a service by stealing from an enemy, but it would also encourage merchants to flock to him. I mean, he would after all become the courageous hero who struck first against one of their sworn enemies. Once word of that got out, it would only be a matter of time until merchants would be lining up for him. At which point he could just sell them the berry crops that he'd stolen.
Oh my god.
Making this a triple-faceted plan with significant benefits. So, with the genius idea being to levy his villagers and attack the convoy in 𝑷𝒉𝒊𝒑𝒔 domain, Philip would proudly present his plans before setting off to bring them to life. What the anime didn't show after was that all this was a clever setup from the two nobles who were with him. Specifically this one.
Well, yeah, it seemed it though.
See, as a noble who had come into power through a similar means as Philip, it was only natural that he too become part of the faction Philip was leading. It's not like he enjoyed being led by such an imbecile, but considering that these were the cards that he was dealt, 𝑷𝒉𝒊𝒑𝒔 had no choice but to play along with them. So, knowing all too well that his faction was the one of misfits, 𝑷𝒉𝒊𝒑𝒔 concocted a plan to bring about change from the inside. He would present himself as this weak and insignificant noble, then use that image to place himself under the wings of a greater power.
Right.
An important trait only hinted at by
Make yourself look
𝑷𝒉𝒊𝒑𝒔
weak so you can rise
It
up.
was very subtle in the anime, but the reason he had gotten so visibly upset from Philip ruining his outfit was because that was a core asset in maintaining his image as insignificant. He didn't dress as this formal aristocrat who came from riches, but instead chose a more common garb to get people to lower their guard around him.
Interesting that they have them react in that way and then us not have a full understanding of it.
Control over this idiot like Philip. A few sentences and a bit of positive reinforcement from Ainz was all it took for 𝑷𝒉𝒊𝒑𝒔 to lead.
You're so smart, Philip Sammer.
That said, Philip alone was only part of the problem. With the Sorcerer Kingdom stockpile still sitting in the capital, that was the core thing preventing his faction from becoming better. You see, because many of his fellow nobles were only noble in name, most had no interest in managing their domains at all.
Right.
They were all like Philip and completely useless.
They
Drunk on
didn't
the power
do
that fell into their laps,
anything.
all while believing they were each destined for absolute greatness.
But not doing
So,
anything
when
about it.
confronted with the obvious issue of a foreign power controlling the price of their crops, even with 𝑷𝒉𝒊𝒑𝒔 indirectly pointing out how this was bad, most nobles he talked to believed they'd come out on top. They believed that by growing cash crops and selling them at a premium, the excess money they would make would just be used to buy provisions from the Sorcerer Kingdom. It was, after all, a readily available stockpile they could just buy from whenever they wanted. The point no one seemed to understand, though, was that this was exactly what the Sorcerer Kingdom wanted. They would wait for the kingdom's harvest to inevitably fail, then jack up the prices of their own product when they become the only supplier.
Makes sense.
An obvious play intended to make the kingdom dependent on the Sorcerer Kingdom. That being the case, the only way 𝑷𝒉𝒊𝒑𝒔 could come up with to prevent this from happening was by doing something about the Sorcerer Kingdom's stockpile. If he could somehow get rid of that foothold on the market, perhaps the nobles who saw it as this opportunity to grow cash crops would instead reconsider and start managing their domains properly. With no backup supply that they could just purchase from, even these moronic nobles would see that they have to grow real crops. That or end up starving for the winter. The core core problem with a plan like this, though, was that you needed a special kind of stupid to attack the Sorcerer King.
Well, yeah,
A person so dumb and so gullible that
Philip.
didn't think it was
There you
possible
go.
to find someone like that.
Damn.
So, when Philip agreed to do exactly that, Vianney couldn't help but think that Philip was trying to play him instead.
Oh, wow, he's like, no, he can't be that dumb. He cannot be that dumb, right? Yeah.
What was going on instead was
Oh
that
my God.
Philip would follow through with the attack on the convoy, then pin the blame on him since the attack was going to happen in his domain. I mean, that seemed much more likely than just straight up stealing from the Sorcerer Kingdom. If that was going to happen, though, Vianney would simply ambush the ambush, then gain favor with the Sorcerer Kingdom after having defended their convoy. It was a plan that should work so long as there were no survivors. Either way, as long as the convoy was attacked by Philip, there was definitely some sort of benefit to be gained from it. At the very least, Philip was sure to be removed from their faction, but perhaps the Sorcerer Kingdom may even withdraw their stockpile. If the kingdom proved themselves unable to defend their goods, then perhaps the Sorcerer Kingdom would lose trust in the merchants that they were hiring. That was the outcome that would by far be the best case for everyone. Now, if you're wondering why Vianney was going so far to incite change, well, that's simply because he wanted to make things better.
Right.
He didn't have the money or power to do it himself, but what he did have was a single, genuine desire to improve the quality of life in his own domain. A task that wasn't possible unless the kingdom itself started to change. So, with a single passion...
This is so interesting. There's so much stuff just...
Vianney was willing
Not in
to
the
do
anime.
the
This
hard work needed to do.
is unreal.
Work that he knew needed to start from within his own faction. If he wanted to move up and
They could have
the better life he's
made this
desired,
anime like
then
so much
the
longer.
necessary tools for that were achievements and connections.
Why not let it
Both
go
of
on
which could only be
twice as
gained
much
by starting with this
episodes?
faction of rejects. Now, despite this being extremely risky, even Vianney didn't believe this attack would result in a war. I mean, for one, he never thought Philip would succeed in the first place.
Yeah,
so
okay,
the
there's
combo
that,
like
yeah.
this was way too trivial to get so worked up over. Combine this with their small territory and limited
But I think
numbers,
Ainz just
Vianney
wanted an
believed
excuse,
the worst
man.
case
He just wanted an
scenario was the
excuse.
loss of a few more border provinces.
You gave it him.
Something that didn't affect him since his domain was at the other end of the country. Fast forward to the actual day of the attack, and out of all the villagers Philip attempted to recruit from his entire domain, only 50 showed up to take part in this.
Right.
It was a feeble showing considering his call had gone out to everyone. Then, to make things worse, the people who did show up didn't even look like they were capable of fighting. Most were well
Wow.
past the age befitting that of a capable worker, and their unkempt demeanor dictated they were the village's outcasts.
Damn.
So, with only dead weight given to carry out his plan, Philip couldn't help but feel that his people weren't appreciating his genius. They didn't seem to understand the tremendous benefits such a mission would bring them. But, even so, Philip was still certain that this was where his legend would begin. As the first and only person to strike a blow against the Sorcerer Kingdom, Philip was sure the kingdom would shower him in glory for
But that's
perhaps
not
even
what happened at
reward him
all.
by
My
giving him the
God.
princess. Many of the people alongside him didn't think the same, but when they had asked if this plan would actually work, Philip reaffirmed his thoughts and stated how their actions would save their country. Of course, no one truly believed him, but their lack of faith only showed just how short-sighted they were. Only a brilliant mind like Philip's could truly grasp the extent to which this plan would benefit them. Now, it was after Philip and his men were settled that Vianney and Ainz would show up with their own forces. 75 each, hidden deep in the forest on either side of Philip, thus bringing the overall number of troops to 200.
Oh, wow.
When Philip heard that that's how the troops were deployed, he immediately recognized the layout as the legendary crane wing formation, an inverted wedge-like shape that numerous war heroes had used before him. Of course, with Philip knowing nothing about the actual purpose of it, there was a bit of confusion when Vianney explained how retreat was all part of it. You see, when Vianney had asked which way Philip would run when the battle got started, Philip mistook this question as Vianney saying that he would lose. What
Oh.
Philip wasn't understanding, though, was that this retreat was simply a facade in order to get the enemy forces to chase them.
Right.
It was the whole point of setting up in this formation in the first place. They would make it seem like they were losing the fight, run away to lead to the enemies out of
And then
position,
they come behind them.
quickly turn and have the forces on each wing come and flank them.
Right.
That was the plan with which Philip and the others would proceed with. They would wait in the forest until the convoy could be seen, then jump out in an ambush and begin their attack. One last thing to note about the setup is that, despite Vianney and Ainz using masks to hide their face, Philip's full-plate armor was too hot for him to keep his helmet on. So, rather than continue to keep his identity hidden, he instead decided to proceed with the helmet off,
No.
leaving his face in the open for all to
What an
see.
idiot.
Now, while Philip and the others awaited the convoy, a A large portion of the story was spent showing the perspective of the merchant in charge of it. A man currently in debt to the Eight Fingers, who also just so happened to be a member of their smuggling division. So, when the time came for him to start paying that loan back, part of that payment involved transporting goods from the Sorcerer Kingdom.
Love the Mashirka Tensei clips, by the way. I
I
can't wait for season 2.
Here he was leading the convoy alongside
Tower of God season 2. Ugh.
with 24 guards, all part of the Eight Fingers payroll. The safety of these goods were all but guaranteed. Reason being that mercenaries like these who were part of the Eight Fingers were highly loyal and extremely trustworthy. Much to the point that if things started to get dicey, Christopher knew each of them would defend the convoy with their life. If they didn't, then the Eight Fingers were sure to hunt them down and kill them anyway. That said, despite these guards being handpicked by the same clients he worked for, Christopher still wished for someone stronger, preferably someone from the Six Arms. But ever since their supposed defeat in a 1v6 to Brain Unglaus, the best he could hope for was
Sebas just
a group of mercs who seemed far more relaxed than they should be. That's not to say they weren't good at what they did, but considering they were traveling with the flags of Ainz, the probability of someone attacking them was extremely low. Plus, anyone foolish enough to even try that was either starving bandits too ignorant to know who they were up against, or a rival syndicate trying to create trouble for the Fingers. Either way, the lead mercenary was confident his group could take on both those threats. Like, even if they were outnumbered 200 to 24, if all they were up against was a bunch of bandits without any combat experience, then him and his group could easily take on them.
definitely.
Funnily enough, it was shortly after this comment was made that the advance guard brought news of a potential ambush up ahead. The reason they saw it only as a potential ambush was because the people waiting and hiding were nothing but villagers. They weren't bandits or thieves equipped with any sort of weapons, but instead simple townfolk carrying nothing but farming gear. So, the fact the most dangerous thing they carried was a simple hoe, Christopher couldn't be sure that they were actually
Minecraft, whoop.
And because it was very possible they were actual farmers, sending men to chase them off could send off the wrong message. If word got out that the Sorcerer Kingdom convoy messed with farmers, then Christopher would be the one responsible for having caused that. That being the case, he couldn't risk doing anything that would reflect poorly on the nation.
This is incredible how much was cut out.
So,
This is
after
mental.
considering potential
This is
possibilities as to
mental.
why it
This is so
out
much.
here, Christopher decided the best thing to do was to scout the surrounding area first. Since the villagers' positions were so blatantly obvious, if farming wasn't what they were there for, then it was very possible they were there to bait for a bigger trap. A seemingly incompetent group intended to lure the convoy in. When the scouts returned after finding nothing, though, Christopher could only conclude that these people were just farmers. An assumption reinforced by the lack of
So much mad assumptions made where it's like,
the
oh, okay,
villagers
never
stepped up
mind.
to stop them. They didn't immediately attack like how an ambush should have been, but instead just stood in the road to form a roadblock. It was a confusing sight since many of the people blocking them looked scared to be there. They didn't seem like they wanted to fight, but instead stood with a look of pure uncertainty. Plus, if they were planning to attack, then even a complete idiot of a leader would have had them stay in hiding. Because they were all out here standing in the road, though, that meant that this was something different. Something Christopher could only find out by confronting the people directly. So, with a merc to defend him and another to attack, Christopher would lead the convoy to talk to these villagers. He would state his purpose from behind the safety of a tower shield, then await a response from whoever was their leader. When that leader turned out to be a noble he recognized, Christopher's mind toiled in an attempt to understand what was happening. First, he tried to comprehend why Philip was in a domain so far from his own, but after hearing how he was here to disrupt the business of the Sorcerer Kingdom, Christopher's only thought was to eliminate the threat in front of him. It was right before he was about to give those orders, though, that Christopher began to feel as if something was off. He remembered that Philip was working for Hilma. So, if this was truly the same Philip who worked for the Eight Fingers, then there had to be a reason why he was doing this.
Yeah.
I mean, no sane nobleman would attack a convoy from the
No,
Sorcerer Kingdom.
that's
let
mad.
alone
Yeah.
one
Oh my
who
god, yeah.
to show their face like this. So, since Philip's face was right out here in the open, perhaps his true intention was to let Christopher know it was him. Or maybe the true culprit was simply using the illusion spell to make it seem like Philip was
So,
if that was
Philip's
the case, though, then
unintentionally
the villagers
doing
behind him
stuff
also
to help.
recognized.
Oh, it's crazy.
Then, with such an idiotic pretense of attacking just for the sake of stealing food, Christopher was certain it was everything other than that. What I mean is that the idea of stealing from Ainz was so incredibly stupid that Christopher was absolutely confident something else was going on.
Yeah,
It could
that's
be a
brilliant.
syndicate, a betrayal from within the Eight Fingers itself, a secret plan intended to force him to kill Philip, or even a larger plot designed to provoke war between the two kingdoms. There was was a limitless number of possibilities under which this situation could have arisen from. One thing Christopher knew for sure, though, was that Philip definitely wasn't here just to steal food. So, as he continued to contemplate all the reasons why Philip would be doing this, Christopher decided the worst thing to do was to kill him. If he acted rashly and killed Philip right away, then not only would the act be perceived as a Sorcerer Kingdom convoy killing a kingdom noble, but Hilma might directly punish him for killing one of her pawns. At least if he let Philip live and gave him the convoy, he could always report back to Hilma and use Philip as a scapegoat. So, with that train of thought influencing his decision, Christopher decided it was best to just leave. As long as Philip didn't chase or attack any of his men, he would abandon the convoy and just walk away. At first, the mercenaries believed Christopher was under some sort of spell, but...
It is so weird how Philip's made all this go on. I wish we saw this. This is insane.
Thus granting Philip his victory over the Sorcerer Kingdom. Philip would have preferred they left the horses as well, but when a hidden archer shot an arrow right next to his head, Philip felt it best not to push his luck anymore. So, while he did have these massive wagons of food primed for the taking, unfortunately he had nothing to move them with. Even so, considering the goods were his and no one was hurt, Philip still believed this to be a flawless victory.
Wow.
He was, after all, the first and only man to successfully steal the flag with a sorcerer.
Incredible from all this.
That would be his prize for this amazing accomplishment.
Wow.
So, as he trampled over the other flags,
we should have seen this.
Philip couldn't help but consider himself this brilliant tactician.
Yeah.
I mean, not
you
only
would.
did he do what no
you
other
would.
person could, but the success of this operation had all but proved it.
Regardless of how stupid you are, if you feel like you got a victory against Ainz, my God, you'd feel incredible.
It was everything he needed to affirm the glorious future ahead of him. But yeah, that's pretty much the legend of Philip. We may not see him again till the very end of the season, but I assure you the fate he meets is one befitting that of his intelligence.
Oh.
And that's the video I'll be making next.
Nice.
Until then, though, as always,
I've heard
so for watching, and if you enjoyed
his outing is
content, then
deadly.
you know what to do. So, until next time.
Ciao. Cool. I love that we're still getting cut content videos from Overlord. It's insane how much has been cut out. The season was boss. Like, I absolutely loved it. Don't get me wrong, but like when you see stuff like this, it's like they could have made it longer. Like, could they have potentially used this stuff to just make it like a 2-season thing? That would have been awesome. But I don't know. Like, apparently the stuff that's been cut out that Any News is not covered is potentially going to be used as the movie that's coming out. So whatever. And I look forward to seeing how Philip met his demise, because apparently you guys have told me it's very, very gruesome. But anyway, thank you to my patrons. If you want to be named at the end of every video, and a few little extra bonus videos I'm throwing in, link is in the description to the Patreon page. $1 a month help support the channel is greatly appreciated. Thank you guys very much for that. Thank you all for watching. What do you guys think of that? What do you guys think of this? Click like, subscribe, leave comments down below. Let me know I should watch this in future videos, and I'll see you guys next time.